Hello, my dear students. Welcome to a new episode of Life Science. Today, we will talk about the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system. Your heart is an amazing pump. Actually, the heart is an organ that is part of your cardiovascular system. What does the term cardiovascular means? It consists of two parts. The first part is the term cardio, that means heart, and the word vascular means the blood vessels, like the arteries and veins. The blood vessels, which are the arteries, capillaries, and veins, they carry blood pumped by the heart to all the parts of the body. So again, what is the cardiovascular system? It's a collection of organs that transport blood throughout the body. The cardiovascular system, it's a collection of organs that transport blood throughout the body. Your heart, blood, and the blood vessels make up your cardiovascular system. So the cardiovascular system consists of three main parts, which are the heart and the blood, also the blood vessels. Your heart creates a pressure when it beats. This pressure, what moves the blood throughout your body. So when the heart beats, it makes a pressure. This pressure is what moves the blood throughout your body. The cardiovascular system helps maintain homeostasis by performing many functions. Do you remember maintaining a stable internal environment of the body? For example, the cardiovascular system helps maintain your body by carrying nutrients to your cells and removing wastes from your cells. The cardiovascular system also it helps in regulation by carrying a chemical signals called hormones throughout your body. So these are two ways how the cardiovascular system maintains homeostasis. What about the heart? Your heart is an organ made mostly of cardiac muscle tissue. The heart is about the size of your fist, and it is almost in the center of your chest cavity. This is like in the middle of the rib cage or the chest cavity. Like hearts of all mammals, your heart has a left side and a right side, separated by a thick wall. So this is common in all mammals, not only humans. The right side of the heart pumps oxygen-poor blood to the lungs. Please focus on this part. The right side of the heart pumps oxygen-poor blood to the lungs. The left side pumps oxygen-rich blood. So this is blood rich in oxygen to the body. Each side has an upper chamber called an atrium. The plural is atrium, and a lower chamber called a ventricle. So again, the heart, it has two sides separated by thick wall. This is in all mammals. Each side has an upper chamber called atrium and a lower chamber called ventricle. The heart pumps blood through blood vessels. These vessels carry the oxygen-rich blood that is shown in red, and also the vessels carrying oxygen-poor blood, they are shown in blue. Okay, they are not blue colored in our body. No, they are just in the picture to separate or differentiate between the blood, the blood vessels that carry oxygen-poor blood and the blood vessels that carry oxygen-rich blood. So look at this picture carefully right here. This is a picture of the heart. As you can see, on your right-hand side, this is the left atrium on top and the left ventricle below it. And on your left-hand side, this is the right atrium and below it, the right ventricle. Yes, they are flipped because we are talking about our own heart. So this is as if you are talking about your heart. So your right half will be my left and your left half will be on my right. Okay. Flap-like structures, they are called valves. Can you see these? These are called valves. These like gates or openings. Flap-like structures called valves are located between the atria and ventricles and in places where large arteries are attached to the heart, like this one right here. This is a large artery attached to the heart, so it has a valve as well. As blood moves through the heart, these valves close. Why these valves close? To prevent the blood from going backward, to keep the blood flowing only in one direction. The lobed up pose, this is the sound of a beating heart. It's caused by the valves closing. Look at the flow of the blood. This is very important for your heart. Number one, blood enters the atria, the upper chambers. First, the left atrium, we said the left atrium, this is on your right. It receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. This one right here, it receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. And the right atrium, which is at your left, it receives oxygen-poor blood from the body. So the atria are for receiving blood to the heart. The left atrium receives oxygen-rich blood from the lungs, while the right atrium receives oxygen-poor blood from the body. Then what? Then, when the atria contract, they push the blood, or the blood is squeezed into the ventricles. Then what? Then while the atria relax, the ventricles contract and push the blood out of the heart. Blood from the right ventricle goes to the lungs. From the right ventricle to your left, this is the oxygen-poor blood. It needs to get oxygen, so it is pushed to the lungs. While the blood from the left ventricle, this is an oxygen-rich blood, so it will go to the rest of the body. Okay, what about blood vessels? Blood vessels travel throughout your body in hollow tubes. The blood travels throughout your body in hollow tubes. They are called blood vessels. So these are hollow tubes that they are empty inside in order to carry the blood. There are three types of blood vessels, which are arteries, capillaries, and veins, as you can see in this picture. The arteries, this is from the heart. And these are the capillaries, the very, very small, tiny blood vessels. Then they are collected in veins back to the heart. Okay. What are arteries? A blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart is an artery. So an artery is any blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart. Arteries have thick walls, which contain a layer smooth muscles. Each heartbeat pumps blood into your arteries at high pressure. This pressure is your blood pressure. This is why the arteries have thick walls to withstand or to stand the pressure caused by the heart. Artery walls stretch and are usually strong enough to stand the pressure. Your pulse is caused by the rhythmic change in your blood pressure. This is the pulse. What about capillaries? Nutrients, oxygen, and other substances must leave blood and get to your body cells. Yes, for sure. Carbon dioxide and other waste materials, they leave the body cells and carried away by the blood. So how this will happen, or where this will happen? A capillary is a tiny blood vessel that allows the exchange between the body cells and the blood. These exchanges can take place because capillary walls, they are only one cell thick. So the thickness of the blood capillaries, they are one cell thick. Capillaries are so narrow that blood cells must pass through them in single file. Can you imagine this? They pass cell by a cell. No cell in the body is more than 3 or 4 cells away from the blood capillaries. So all the cells of our body can exchange the nutrients and oxygen, also carbon dioxide and wastes. Then veins. After leaving capillaries, blood enters veins, as we have seen in the last figure. Then what? A vein is a blood vessel that carries blood back to the heart. So veins are blood vessels that collect the blood and carry it back to the heart. As blood travels through veins, valves in the veins keep the blood from flowing backward. This is like the same valves of the heart that prevent the blood from flowing in the opposite direction. When skeletal muscles contract, they squeeze the nearby veins and help push blood toward the heart. So again, what's an artery? An artery is a blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart to the body organs. While veins, They are vessels that carry blood back to the heart. Capillary is a tiny blood vessel that allows an exchange between blood and the cells in other tissues. Then there are two types of circulation. Where does blood get the oxygen to deliver to your body? Yes, the blood gets the oxygen from your lungs. Your heart pumps blood to the lungs. In the lungs, carbon dioxide leaves the blood and the oxygen enters the blood. Then this blood became oxygen-rich blood, which then flows back to the heart. The circulation of blood between your heart and lungs, it is called pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation. Then the oxygen-rich blood returning to the heart from the lungs is then pumped to the rest of the body. The circulation of blood between your heart and the rest of the body is called systemic circulation. Systemic circulation. Again, so the pulmonary circulation is the flow of blood from the heart to the lungs. So this is between the heart and lungs and back to the heart through the pulmonary arteries, pulmonary capillaries, and the pulmonary veins, while the systemic circulation is the flow of blood from the heart to all the parts of the body and back to the heart, to all the systems, the organ systems of your body. This is why it is called systemic circulation. Look at this figure right here. So this is the two systems or the two circulations. Letter A, this is the first part. The right ventricle, which is on the left, the right ventricle pumps oxygen-poor blood into the arteries that lead to the lungs. These are called the pulmonary arteries that lead to the lungs. Then inside the lungs, gas exchange takes place. These are the only arteries in the body that carry oxygen-poor blood. This is very important. So all the arteries carry oxygen-rich blood except the pulmonary arteries. They carry oxygen-poor blood. Then letter B, in the capillaries of the lungs, blood takes up oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. This is gas exchange. Then the blood became oxygen-rich blood that travels through veins to the left atrium. These are the only veins in the body that carry oxygen-rich blood. Then what? From the left atrium to the left ventricle. Then the heart pumps oxygen-rich blood from the left ventricle into arteries and then into capillaries in all the tissues of the body, to all parts of the body. Letter D, as blood travels through capillaries, it transports oxygen, nutrients, and water to the cells of the body. At the same time, it takes or carries the waste materials and the carbon dioxide. Then, these blood capillaries, they are collected in veins that carry the oxygen-poor blood back to the heart that is delivered into the right atrium by two large veins, one from the upper side of the part of the body or the upper half of the body and another one from the lower part of the body. Okay. Then what about the cardiovascular problems? More than just your heart and blood vessels are at risk if you have cardiovascular problems. This is the major problem that not only the heart, blood, and the blood vessels that are at risk, no, other organs may be affected by cardiovascular problems. Let's see. Your whole body may be harmed. Cardiovascular problems can be caused by smoking, high levels of cholesterol in blood, stress and physical inactivity, or heredity. Maybe sometimes some of these problems are inherited or passed from parents to the offspring or to their children. Eating a healthy diet and getting plenty of exercise can reduce the risk of having cardiovascular problems. We have a major cardiovascular problem called atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis. Heart diseases are the leading cause of death in the United States. A major cause of heart disease is a cardiovascular disease called atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis happens when cholesterol, this is the major problem, builds up inside of blood vessels. This cholesterol buildup causes the blood vessels to become narrower and less elastic. They are less flexible. When an artery that supplies blood to the heart becomes blocked, the person may have a heart attack. Look at this figure right here. This is the normal blood vessel or normal artery, and this is the artery narrowed by atherosclerosis when the cholesterol started to deposit or stick to the sides of a blood vessel and narrow the blood vessel. This is called a plaque. This figure shows how clogged the pathway through a blood vessel can become. Look here in this illustration, it shows, as you can see, this is a blood vessel. This is an arterial wall. These are fatty deposits. This is the cholesterol and the remaining opening for blood flow. It became smaller than ordinary. This illustration shows the narrowing of an artery as a result of high levels of cholesterol in blood. The lipid deposits, the yellow parts right here, they build up inside the blood vessel walls and block the flow of blood. Then red blood cells and lipid particles right here, they are shown escaping hardly from this narrow blood vessel. Then we have heart attacks. A heart attack, what is heart attack? It happens when the heart muscle cells die and part of the heart muscle is damaged. How? The arteries that deliver oxygen to the heart is a muscle. Any muscle cell in our body, it needs food, it needs oxygen, right? So the arteries that deliver oxygen to the heart may be blocked, as this one right here. So without oxygen, heart muscle cells die quickly. When enough heart muscle cells die, the heart may stop working. Another cardiovascular problem is the heart failure. Heart failure is different. This is not the death of muscle cells, the heart muscle cells. So what happened right here in the heart failure? Heart failure happens when the heart cannot pump enough blood to meet the body's needs. So this is like a heart deficiency, or the heart cannot pump enough blood to meet the body's needs. Organs such as the brain, lungs, and kidneys may be damaged by the lack of oxygen or nutrients, or by the buildup of fluids or wastes. Look here, this is the normal heart to your left, the normal ventricular chamber. Look at the right one. This is the normal ventricle. This is the left ventricle. Can you see? This is the abnormal one. So the walls became thicker. So the cavity of the left ventricle became smaller. So the thickening of the ventricular chambers and the smaller filling capacity and injection of blood. This is what leads to the heart failure. The heart cannot pump enough blood to meet the needs of the body. I hope you understood this part about the cardiovascular system and its problems. Thank you guys. See you in the next episode and goodbye.